Guys, Bitcoin currently is dropping. However, we're still holding the very important and pivotal area, which is 65k. If Bitcoin just holds this exact level, we may see a continuation and a new pump. And also, I have a new potential long on Bitcoin because obviously we're still kind of technically bullish while also having a newer potential idea. Since we pumped on Bitcoin, always whenever we pump and then we get the retracement, I always attempt to actually long Bitcoin. I always give you guys ideas, especially like when Bitcoin had flipped the structure from bearish into bullish. We've been literally attempting to long almost every single retracement we got on Bitcoin. We longed, I'd say, 3 or 4 of them, and we made some good money by longing Bitcoin. The latest of them being the one we took on the Monday open. We saw the final dip before actually finally breaking above the valley area high, and Bitcoin is still technically again holding above it. I'm going to be speaking about the bigger idea for short in Bitcoin and also the retracement for long in Bitcoin, because obviously, as we've been speaking about for almost 2 months now, that Bitcoin is within this technically hasn't fully formed yet, but this technical range bound reaction. And now we obviously, as everybody knows, we caught the long from 58k, and now we're just waiting for potentially going to the other side of the range, which is above 67, 68, 69, where we either see obviously a breakout and we become happy by holding longs, or maybe even happier by catching an amazing short if we see, instead of a big pump and a hold, we actually see a fake out and an amazing order flow reaction where we decide to short Bitcoin, similar to how we caught the long from the bottom. I wouldn't be closing it from the top, so obviously even if I see the most perfect reaction for short in Bitcoin, I don't just randomly flip all bearish and change and close all of my longs, because technically Bitcoin is still and will be still strong and holding very good structure for us to even approach 67, 68k. So obviously there's always the scenario where I enter the short with the most perfect reaction and then get stopped out, and that's the reason why I always keep my longs open if I take a short, and also vice versa. However, now that's obviously too early to call and too early to focus on, because Bitcoin needs to hold some important key level, because as I explain always, guys, that you need to apply the volume profile pull towards this exact range, and we can clearly see that what needs to be held right now on Bitcoin, if we keep on dropping obviously, is absolutely the level, I'd say, from 64.5 to almost 65k. This is a very pivotal area. So again, even though I've been saying that Bitcoin is, or the only chance for me to short Bitcoin on the medium time frame would be us continuing to 67, 68, 69, it does not mean that I'm predicting Bitcoin to perfectly hit that exact level at any moment. Hence why I always tell you guys, don't be long in the breakout. Why? Because even though we've enjoyed, I'd say, 24 hours, 48 hours of Bitcoin pumping from like 65 to almost 67, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't as easily just lose 64, 65k and then drop to 60k. Again, this is only something I'll be going to be expecting. I mean, once we lose the valley area high, it's too early to call. I just want to mention this for the beginners out there that may get easily, I'd say, easily forget about the bad side once we see, or they start reading titles such as these, the ones that I make. Again, don't overjudge me from the titles and thumbnails. You have to focus and understand that obviously, even though we've been pumping, we need to hold a certain line for us to continue pumping. So right now, again, that is too early for us to call. I don't want you guys to be focusing on the bearishness, because nothing is bearish yet on Bitcoin. We've been still putting this nicely bullish structure on Bitcoin, and it remains to be the target of us taking out the highs and potentially going to 67, 68k. However, just understand that this is a requirement for us to hold. We must hold 64.5, 65k, this general zone of support. And this is exactly and precisely why, instead of seeing this as a bad thing that hasn't happened yet, we can potentially use this zone of support to our advantage by potentially being ready and open for taking a long. This is the new long that I may be taking if Bitcoin keeps on dropping. If Bitcoin does approach and retest the 65k to 64.6k, I'd say, zone of support, which is very, very, very pivotal for us to hold. Again, if that does happen, so again, I'm not saying we can't pump from here, but again, I wouldn't be longing if we pump from here. If we drop on Bitcoin, we see the retest, that would be the make or break for Bitcoin, where we either see an amazing, nicely fake out and we take the long continuation for hopefully going to 67, 68, 69, 69, or obviously there will be always the chance where we don't see the long given, we see the failure to hold, we lose 65, and then maybe go to 60k. So again, this is too early to call. Just understand that this is a good chance for potentially looking for a long. You just have to put an alert and then wait it out and see whether we get to this level or not. And once we get there, are we getting a good chance to long or not? However, obviously, regardless of us going to 65 or not, if Bitcoin does generally go to 67, 68k, you should be always open for potentially shorting Bitcoin. So the bigger short requires a continuation for a pump. The bigger, better long for us on the scalp period to medium time frame requires a drop to 65. So in between 64.7, 64.5, 65k, all the way to 67, I wouldn't be randomly taking trades. I want to see a pump for potentially shorting Bitcoin, and I want to see a dump with a good reaction for potentially long in Bitcoin. That's the way to do it, and that is the way we actually become profitable and also stay profitable.